Welcome back to another video. Let's discuss some best practices. One important practice is to avoid naming collisions. Always use a prefix or PHP namespace. This is crucial because developers around the world share a common thinking when it comes to naming things. And it's best to prevent naming conflicts in variable names, function names, and class names. This ensures that our code remains unique and avoids any potential issues that could arise from naming collisions. To avoid naming collision, it's a good idea to follow procedural coding methods and to use namespaces to differentiate your classes and functions. Prefixing everything like classes is also a best practice because all globally accessible code should be prefixed with a unique identifier. Prefixes prevent conflicts in other plugins and prevents them from overwriting your variables and accidentally calling your functions and classes. For example, if your plugin is called Easy Custom Post Types, then you could use names like these. Let's say you want to define a function, you can use ecpt underscore as your prefix before naming that function. That would make this function unique to your plugin. Similarly, you can define constants with the prefix ecpt underscore. You can have classes with the prefix ecpt underscore. You can create namespaces like easy custom post types, or you can name your options ecpt underscore settings. Because you are making this code as a part of your WordPress project, you should also avoid use of prefixes that have a high probability of conflicting with the core WordPress functions. This includes, but is not limited to, double underscore, WP underscore, WordPress, or a single underscore. Also, if you are making code for a sub-plugin, such as an extension of a plugin, for example, WooCommerce, you would similarly need to avoid using any of their normal common prefixes like Woo or WooCommerce. You can use them inside your classes and namespace, but not as standalone functions, namespace, or class. Next is you must always check for existing implementations. This is especially helpful when using WordPress function. Let's say you want to use a function that is available in PHP 7, but it isn't available in PHP 5.6 or older versions. As developers, we can check PHP version before using that function. If the PHP version is 7 or higher, we use the desired function. Otherwise, we can fall back to an alternative. This approach prevents fatal errors, ensuring that if a user has an older version of PHP, calling a function that's only available in the later versions won't create a problem. For example, we are given here that first we will check whether that function exists. If it exists, then this code won't be executed. That is, this function won't be defined at all. But if that function is not defined, then we provide an alternative definition of that function so that there are no conflicts. So we also need to implement these checks as they can be very helpful. Additionally, consider using an object-oriented programming approach. It is an easier way to tackle naming collisions when using a class for the code of your plugin. You still need to take care of checking whether the name of your class you want is already taken, but the rest will be taken care of by PHP. The given example displays that method. At first check whether this class exists or not, and if this class doesn't exist, then we are providing the class definition. When it comes to file organization, you can adopt any file structure that suits your needs. There are various file structures or folder structures you can follow, and it ultimately depends on the size of your plugin's code base. If your plugin consists of a few files, let's say maybe 2 or 3, you might opt for a simple folder structure containing all the files, or even keep them in the plugin root folder. However, the folder structure should reflect the features your plugin provides, and it depends on how large the code base is. A sample folder structure is provided here for reference. In your plugin folder, you can have a plugin.php that would include all other files, an uninstall.php that would run the code on uninstalling the plugin, a languages folder that would contain P or MO files in case your plugin is translatable, an includes folder, an admin folder that would contain the JavaScript, CSS, and images for the admin, and public folder that will contain JS, CSS, and images for the front end. And it depends on your code base, especially if you want to extend this folder structure or you want to keep it minimal. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Jai WordPress!